Yo, what's up guys? I got PokeaimMD here with another tournament replay. This time we have round 1 of the official Smogon Tour. I'm playing Groudon. Before I even get into this, I just want to say this is a narration where I will be pausing and talking about my thought process, hopefully explaining my opponent's thought process, what I think going into the game, turn by turn, long term, all that stuff. So if that's not your thing, you can check the replays down below. I'll link them in the description. Go ahead and watch it. I know some people don't like that, so yeah, that's fine. But that's the way I've been preferring to play my tournament games anyway, playing them without recording and then talking about them after. I feel like I focus a little bit better. Sometimes. Yeah, we're playing Groudon now. A little backstory. Groudon, I played him in Smogon Tour, and I thought I was winning the game, right? I thought I was winning the game. And this dude had a Zygarde, right? And it was like weakness policy, Iron Tail, Zygarde, and I had set it up so my Clef was in front of it, and I was like, okay, I knock him out, I win. And he just reverse swept me. So a little bit of a revenge game going on here. Not really, because it was just some random Smogon Tour, but it was pretty cool. Anyway, so looking at the first matchup, I made myself Primal Kyogre because his name was Groudon, and Primal Kyogre has a good matchup offensively versus Groudon if it comes in second. Yeah, forget that. Anyway, that stuff doesn't matter. So first team, he's bringing dual screens versus me, right? It's dual screens Coco, Sash Lando, DD Mega Gyarados. I think it has Taunt. Swords Dance should be 3 attack Hawlucha. Superior, I believe, also has Taunt as well, and Magearna is Shift Gear. So I brought like a heavy balance type of build with SD Gliscor as a win con, Shift Gear Mag, and then I have just a bunch of solid Pokemon. Shout out to TTC for the team. I wanted to use Mega Latios, especially because I've been losing a lot to Gliscor just in general, so I want to do that. Speaking of which, well, this has nothing to do with that, but the race to top 10 will be on Jambatch channel later today, so I encourage you to go check that out. And I think later tonight, if all goes according to plan, I'll be streaming, just climbing the ladder for my road to rank 1. I'm not doing the next episode until I got a bunch of points more, so I'll be hopefully streaming. If it's not today, it'll be tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, it'll be Sunday. So bear with me on that. I just don't want to constantly be recording in the 1800s, 1900s. I want to make a push. But yeah, so looking at it, I know his team, right? And now it's about how do I beat it. So Ferrothorn is going to be key for dealing with Gyarados. Hawlucha is going to be a problem, but as long as I have Toxapex in versus that, I can haze it, which means that Tornadus can always take a hit, and then I just have to bank off the Hurricane hitting. So 70%. I know that my Magearna is very good in this game because I'm Corkscrew Crash, and depending on his Magearna set, if he's Twinkle Tackle, I can shift gear up on that if screens are gone and set up with that. And I do know that Gliscor might be decent, as it just has Swords Dance, Facade, and Earthquake, so it deals well with Mag, but definitely have to work towards not losing to Hawlucha and Magearna. My opponent, their thought process is probably just set up as much as possible and try and get a win. Like, their Hawlucha really makes a way for their Magearna because it weakens my Toxapex. But as long as I spam Haze, that's always going to be my game plan versus Hawlucha, versus versus Magearna. Unless I Scald Burn them on my first try, I'll always go for Haze. And even then, I'll always go for Haze. So as far as dealing with Superior goes, I have Latios and I have Tornadus, and I want to keep one of them healthy. As far as leads go, I decided to lead off with Latios because they always lead Lando, get up rocks, bring down Sash, bring out Coco, get up the screens. So I decided to lead off with my Latios as he leads off with Lando. I honestly think maybe Booming would have been better here considering he had Stone Edge on his Hawlucha, but I mean Rocks is fair because I'm not going to be able to defog them at all versus his team, right? If I defog in Hawlucha's face, it gets an SD and knocks me out with Stone Edge or Acrobatics. If I defog in Gyarados' face, it gets a Dragon Dance. If I defog in Superior, it gets a boost. If I defog in Magearna, I can get a Soul Heart boost. So Rocks are, like he could have exploded here to get rid of Latios, but Rocks are fine. So he goes down in the second Ice Beam. He's going to bring out Tapu Koko. I think that he should have went for the Light Screen here first, for sure. I think Light Screen was a little bit better because not only did it mean that he wasted turns for Reflect, which might have been useful for dealing with Gyarados, but it also meant my Latios was able to 2-hit KO that. So that was very, very important. We don't have to deal with Coco for the entirety or majority of the game, and at the same time, again, with no electric terrain up, Hawlucha is on a timer as far as when it can get in. So I'm gonna go Ferrothorn. I was half expecting him to double out here into his Hawlucha because again, Electric Seed and whatnot. But I go Ferrothorn because it's literally here to take on Gyarados. He actually Mega Evolves immediately. I guess just in case I wanted to go for Psychic or Draco would be able to take it better, but it doesn't work out for my opponent because I'm never going for Leech Seed here. I'm always clicking Power Whip, especially because it's super effective. I do know that 3 KOs them, and +1 Gyarados does not knock me out. So He goes for Taunt, anticipating Leech Seed or anything, and basically it puts this Gyarados in range of my Iron Barbs no matter what. I miss a Power Whip here, but that doesn't matter because it's Taunt, Dragon Dance, Gyarados, so its other two moves are Crunch and Waterfall. Taunt's there for stopping Toxapex's Haze and Toxic and whatnot, so it's a good set. But I think Mega Evolving initially was a little bit, it was a little bit early, and it kind of didn't work out for my opponent because had he stayed regular Gyarados, Power would obviously be neutral, and it'd be doing like half this damage. So Gyarados might have actually swept me at that point too if I didn't get lucky with a Scald Burn or something. So I think that he should have not Mega Evolved. But I understand you want to take less from Latios' attack. But either way, I missed the Power Whip. Doesn't really matter because again, Iron Barb's taking him out. And if anything, like I said, it's better for me because it wastes another turn of screens. At this point, terrain ends, so I'm not worried about Hawlucha. That's a big thing. Terrain ends, so I'm not worried about Acrobatics because Electricity won't activate. I'm not worried about Superior as much because Mega Latios is healthy, Magearna is healthy, and Tornadus is healthy. So right here, he should go Magearna. So I have to go Toxapex. Toxapex is my best bet. And like right here, like again, for my opponent's case, Mag comes out safely here under screens and kind of picks up a KO on anything other than Pex. And maybe my Magearna, depending on the Z move. But because I can live a Shift Gear into basically a Gigavolt Havoc, I decided to throw off a Scald first as opposed to going for Haze initially, because if I get a burn on Magearna, that'll really wear it down to the point of maybe Gliscor. I also have Heat Wave on Tornadus, so I get the burn on the first draw. Very, very lucky on my part, for sure. And right here, I don't even care if he has Corkscrew Crash. I just Gigavolt Havoc, because I basically spam Haze. And that will allow me to get in my Magearna and Corkscrew Crash, and that'll allow me to get in Gliscor and Earthquake. Gliscor's Earthquake obviously does not knock out Magearna, does around 60%, but I basically stop him going for Shift Gear. I don't want him Shift Gearing on me and setting up. So he brings in his Superior. I don't want to go directly onto Tornadus because that's a good play too because it definitely forces me out. I didn't want to go directly on Tornadus because just in case he's running Glare, I think they're Taunt, but just in case he is running Glare, what I'd rather do is go Latios. Latios takes Leaf Storm into +2 Leaf Storm, can threaten it back with an Ice Beam as Light Screen will end, and I want to keep Tornadus healthy because it deals with Hawlucha. So this is my thought process going into this turn. Into turn 12, this is my thought process as I go into Latios. I don't go Tornadus because Tornadus has Heat Wave to threaten Magearna, which may be a 2-hit KO with the burn. Might not be, but either way, it doesn't matter. Keeping Toxapex alive is nice because I can always Haze Magearna, stopping it from Shift Gearing, and Latios is expendable in a sense, but also just good for dealing damage for my Tornadus. So I bring out Latios here, goes for that Leaf Storm. No, does nothing. Gonna do double on the next one, but we get off an Ice Beam, which does absolutely ridiculous damage, like to the point where I was like, is that naive Superior? But then I realized I calced regular Latios, not Mega Latios. So I was like, how did I do 90? The max is 87 from Latios. I was like, oh, I'm Mega. But either way, I put him in range of knockoff potentially. I put him in range of knockoff potentially, right? But if he's running HP, it might be a roll. So I decided to go Tornadus here. It's my best play. I'm faster. I don't have U-turn. Otherwise I would have went for it. But I went for Heat Wave here because it did one of two things. One, it knocked out Superior 90% of the time, more so than knockoff, depending on if he's HP invested. But mainly, it also catches Magearna upon switching. So I brought out that Tornadus. I figured if he's gonna try and save this, it makes sense because it can outspeed my Gliscor and actually threaten it, whereas Magearna is obviously weak to it as well. So I go for Heat Wave here. He's thinking he can get in his Magearna maybe on a knockoff or U-turn and still threaten something. I wasn't as worried as Magearna coming in because, again, I still have Toxapex, which has regenerated. I missed the Heat Wave. A little bit unfortunate because that means it does not die to one Earthquake at that range, but I go Toxapex because I always have to spam Haze. He goes for the Shift Gear. Again, this is where Burn is really nice. So missing the Heat Wave, Burn at least helped me out. Gets the Para on the first Thunderbolt. So that's very, very threatening depending on the Magearna set. Because what he could be doing, or what he should be doing is after this Thunderbolt, because I will be spamming Haze, he should actually be going for Shift Gear here. Because if I get, as he does, because if I get full Para, it's pretty much me being, I lose to him, right? And I'm scared to go for Recoverage as well. But goes for Thunderbolt, knocks me out. He is in range of Gliscor. However, I wanted to see something because basically, if I could win the game, I could go Gliscor right and Earthquake right, and he might switch out to Hawlucha. But if he's the wrong Z move on Magearna, basically if he's Gigavolt Havoc or if he's Twinkle Tackle, my Magearna lives one because I have HP investment. I live it, I can shift gear up, I knock him out with Corkscrew Crash, I knock out Hawlucha with Thunderbolt, I knock out the Serperior with Flash Cannon. So I was going for game right here, but also just not allowing him to take any hit as well. So I bring out my Magearna. He does turn out to be Corkscrew Crash, which is fine. This was something I was willing to risk right there. Had it been Glare Superior, I don't think Mag would have done anything anyway. And I can bring out my Gliscor now and just click Earthquake. He's guaranteed in range after burn and whatnot. So it's fine. Brings out Hawlucha. Hawlucha does not matter at all. At this point, at +2, he's doing about 40%. I go for Swords Dance here because I need my my +2 to 2 KO him, whereas before I would not be able to. And I'm going to throw off a Facade as he Swords Dances himself. Again, he reveals a Stone Edge. I kind of was assuming he was. It's a balls-to-wall offense type of build. You don't be running Roost on this type of thing. You want Stone Edge to hit Zapdos. You want Zone Edge to hit Tornadus. So right here, instead of attacking him, I decide to go for Roost. Now, the reason I roosted is because, first off, if he crit, he wouldn't knock me out, but it'd be worse for the Superior. But mainly, I wanted to be at as close to full as possible, or at 100%. Because, basically, after this next attack, whether he high jump kicks or Stone Edges, doesn't matter, acrobatics, they all did around the same damage. I am out of range, guaranteed, of Superior's Leaf Storm. I'm not guaranteed, but guaranteed unless crit. So I'm out of range as I am. I can go for another Facade with my Gliscor on that, and I do outspeed the Magearna, and I can knock it out with an Earthquake. So, yeah. A few plays, maybe my opponent could have done differently. I think also, maybe I should have just went a hard Gliscor on the Magearna as well. And then I could have just went for Shift Gear with my own Mag on maybe Serperior coming out or Hawlucha. Because I would be able to go Tornadus after. So maybe that was a misplay there, because he would have switched out Mag, right? And I would have been able to bring out Tornadus at a point on the Hawlucha, and if I missed, it didn't really matter because he would not be able to SD up in front of that. He would go for Stone Edge, if anything. So I think I could have played my endgame a little bit differently. However, I do think going Magearna on that Magearna turn was fine, in a sense, because, again, I could win the game right there if he had the wrong Z move. It didn't matter if he shift geared, right? I would, I don't think he would ever shift gear himself that turn, because I could obviously knock him out with the Z. So he would either try and take the Pokemon from me, or he would basically go for the wrong Z move. I don't think he would shift gear that turn. But I guess I could have risked the game that turn, so maybe that might have been a misplay. Anyway, game 2, this is best 2 out of 3. I'll put this off for some of you dark mode type people. Now, I'm using a more offensive build. Again, shout out CTC, has like 10 million win cons. Has Nasty Plot Z, MewMZ Mew, SD, Mawile, Quiver Dance Volcarona, and wow, Volcarona and Mawile have a field day at this matchup. So very, very solid matchup for me, I feel. Looking at the team, I'm pretty sure I know it. It's like Tank Chomp, Specs Gren, Megazam, AV Tangrowth, Z, Magearna, and Rocky Helmet Torn. That's just what I'm thinking at team preview. I've either used it or I just know. I don't think it'd be Z. I don't think it'd be Z Garchomp on a team that has both Magearna and Tangrowth. And by that I mean, like, they're not both gonna be AV. This is more than likely gonna be offensive Shift Gear, or even Calm Mind Z Pain Split to give it a stall matchup. So one or the other. So game plan on this. It's going to be really hard for my opponent to deal with my Volcarona. I get a Quiver Dance up on Magearna. I get a Quiver Dance up on Tangrowth. So he has to try and keep them out. I even get a Quiver Dance up on Mega Alakazam as well, because I can take the hit. So definitely try and pressure him with Mawile and Volcarona is the plan here. Get him in as many times as possible and just click buttons. Quiver Dancing up initially is good once I get maybe some damage up on Garchomp. I know I need about 30-40% off in it. I need about 30% off on it for me to knock it out with +1 Bug Buzz. But yeah, Volcarona, very, very solid in this game. And Mawile, when it gets in with both Volt Switch and U-Turn, really nice. So he's going to try and pressure me with his Zam, but it's going to be really tough, though, because I have Sucker Punch, I have Scarf Lando, I have Bulu, which is not 2 KO'd. I even have Synthesis on Bulu over Protect, so I'm able to just get back up to full, even if he switches into like Rocky Helmet Torn or Tangrowth at that point. So I opt to lead off with my Mew, because if he leads off with Torn, which I think was a fantastic lead versus my part, it can either knock something or U-turn. I get a little bit of chip off, and I get to find out what type of Torn it is. Again, I'm thinking it is Rocky Helmet, but I want to confirm. So I go for Psychic here. Also, this is the only thing that doesn't really care about knockoff. I could have let off a Mawile, to be honest, but also Mew matched up well versus Garchomp, because I could just Z it. Though I wouldn't, because he'd probably scout for Ice Beam or something. But yeah, I get off Psychic on it. It's confirmed that that is Rocky Helmet. I'm going to go for the Roost here on what I'm expecting to be a U-turn, as he just goes hard into his Alakazam. So I do have a top of Bulu. I'm almost max per def. I'm not 2 KO by this thing. And basically, if he goes for Psychic, I can go for Synthesis. If he goes for Shadow Ball, I can throw off a Horn Leech, because even if he goes right back out into Tornadus, I still recover back up to full, if not really, really near full. So I'm still not 2-hit KO'd. So Torn comes out. Now right here, I'm assuming he'd U-turn. I don't think he'd knock again, because I've already shown that Mew doesn't care about that, because Z and also Mawile doesn't care. So I bring out Rotom because Rotom has just a really solid matchup versus almost everything besides, depending on the Z-Mag. But he can't Z this because he wants to save Magearna for Mawile, because Magearna is faster than Mawile. This is like, this is all that I'm thinking, right? Like, bringing out Rotom meant that he couldn't Z me. I'd still be fine versus Gren. Bulu I don't think would ever be overwhelmed, because if I ever feel Bulu's overwhelmed, I'll just Quiver Dance up on Alakazam instead of going Bulu. But yeah, I bring out Rotom on the U-turn as he brings out his Alakazam. Because Terrain is still up, I can safely go Bulu, and right here I can go for the Synthesis. I didn't want to go Rotom because I want to use Rotom to burn Garchomp. I'm actually running double Defog on this team as well. As he brings out Garchomp, which is smart, would have gotten damage off on me, which would have been... He would have gotten Rocky Helmet and Rough Skin damage on me, because, again, I know this is Tank Chomp. That damage to the point of putting my Bulu in range of maybe 2 Psychics from Zam. So me having Synthesis was really good over Protect in this game. I bring out Rotom because I can Will-O-Wisp and Defog. Because I can live a hit from literally every Pokemon on his team, I go for Will-O-Wisp first. And that damage is going to go, it's going to be really, really, really helpful for my Mawile. Right here I can just Defog as he brings out his Zam. And because Psychic puts me in Eye of Pop Berry range, and Rotom already did his job, it burnt the Garchomp and Defogged, I can just Volt Switch here safely into my Landorus. Now, the reason I went Landorus is because I'm Choice Scarf. I can obviously U-turn and threaten him, right? He could potentially go Tank Chomp, but I want him to go Tank Chomp, because if I get that little bit of chip damage from U-turn and plus the burn, I get in my Volcarona can sweep him, right? And if he brings in Tornadus, it's the same thing. I can bring out Mawile and mess something up. So basically, I knew that he could go out to one of his Rocky Helmet users. I didn't really care because I wanted them in. This meant that Mawile comes in and clicks Play Rough. This meant that Mew can come in and Z. So I bring out my Mega Mawile, gonna Mega Evolve and click Play Rough. He has nothing to switch in, man. Magearna does not appreciate this at all. I know that is offensive Magearna, and because Mew has a chance to live this, if it's Twinkle Tackle, Mew has a chance to live this, and I knew he'd Z, and I figured that Mew would be kind of expendable because it's Fire Blast as a second move, not Aura Sphere, so it can't break through Greninja, and chipping Greninja doesn't really matter when I have like hard counters to it, or good, really solid checks. I decided to go Mew here because if he did Z and it was Twinkle Tackle or Corkscrew Crash, I could bring out my Volcarona after and just quiver. So he does throw off the Z to try and weaken my Mawile. He knows Mawile is a giant threat to his team. I can now bring out my Volcarona and Quiver Dance up. And the reason I Quiver Dance up is because he doesn't really have a good switching. I can take every hit from Magearna. If he goes Garchomp, he's forced to Dragon Tail me. I have a Lumberry, so if he Toxics, I kind of just win at this point. So I bring out my Volcarona. Instead of just Bug Buzzing, I actually go right for the Quiver Dance here, allowing me to also take a hit from Magearna. And I go for Bug Buzz now, doing some beautiful damage as he is going to force me out into my Mawile. Not the best for me, but not the worst either, because I can always go Rotom on the rocks and literally defog because I'm slower. So great for me. I'm able to defog as Alakazam is going to come out. Once again, I don't want to go directly out into Bulu at this point because my Rotom does eat the hit. And basically, if I go Bulu, I have to play defensive versus him. If I stay in and take the hit, I can get in Mawile and once again force a KO, right? So I was debating going for Swords Dance here because I was figuring he'd probably sack his Garchomp. But it didn't make much sense because Magearna also lives +2 Sucker Punch. And Greninja could come in and threaten me with Hydro Pump, so I decided to just go for Play Rough. I don't really care about the damage from this. I can get some damage. I can get some recovery back with Grassy Terrain as Greninja is going to come out. Going to bring out good old Bulu here as he goes for Surf, revealing it as Specs. And at this point, because I have Rotom at 4% and it's a safe sack, I do not have to double. I can just play really safely, go for Horn Leech. Like I said, get my Bulu back up to almost full and sack that Rotom that is at 4%. If he goes for Hurricane, if he goes for Knockoff, whatever, I'm basically, this is what my game plan was. Get in Mawile, get in Volcarona as many times as possible, and hopefully sweep. So, get in my Mawile now. I go for Play Rough. That is the guaranteed range for Sucker Punch. Didn't even care if this thing tried to Quiver Dance, Shift Gear up on me. But my Mawile is also at 82%, which is amazing, as Tangrowth is going to come out. I'm going to go Lando because I have, like, offensively, I can threaten, or I don't know if this is considered offensively or defensively, but Mawile threatens Alakazam with Sucker Punch. I want to say defensively because it's something that can't come in and outspeed it, but threaten it. Whatever. Defensively, I threaten it with Bulu. Offensively, I threaten it with both Lando and Mawile, I guess. Whatever. Let's just say that. So by going Lando, it does two things. It scouts for a double into Torn, but also it scouts for Rock Slide because I didn't know if I doubt he had Rock Slide, but I didn't know it as well. So I get in Lando right here just in case he wants Rock Slide. Actually goes for Earthquake, trying to hit my Mawile anyway. Also Volcarona. And U-turn is by far my best play because I get in Volcarona right there and I can just Quiver Dance up on that thing. So I get in Mawile now on the U-turn. He misses Hurricane as I'm going to miss my Play Rough. At this point, he's kind of committing to, I need to confuse this Mawile to death in order to have a chance, right? But he misses his next Hurricane. Really unfortunate. Would have done about 30% to me. Couple that with Play Rough, Rocky Helmet. I get a crit. That does not matter at all. It does like 90-something min. I'm able to knock out Tornadus. And what I can do is once again go out into Lando because I'm basically setting up for my my Volcarona to win. So I go Lando. And I decide to play it relatively safe. I go Bulu right now. And basically this will allow me... it doesn't matter that this scouts for Sludge Bomb, I guess, too. But I didn't really need my leftovers to win this game. I had Lando to check Zam. And basically what I'm trying to do is just let in my Volcarona. Because he's -1, Grassy Terrain is up, Earthquake's going to do less. I've seen his entire moveset, so I know he doesn't have Rock Slide. I can Quiver Dance up. I have Grassy Terrain behind me. He's going to go for Water Shuriken. He needs crits. He needs a lot of crits, but gets 2 hits, no crits. And at this point, my Volcarona is going to be able to win the game. So that's what I was going for. Mawile, Volcarona really punishing anything. So was able to win 2-0 in round 1 of OST, the official Smogon Tour. Very good games. Second one was a lot harder for my opponent, for sure. Second one, matchup-wise, it was really, really, really good for me. I just had to get in Volcarona and Mawile as many times as I needed to. And Mawile just offensively, because Mawile doesn't even need a boost to do anything. Volcarona can set up a lot on his defensive threats, too. So, like, him going for Z with Magearna, I get why he would do it on Mawile. You need to awaken it. That thing is a threat. That way your Tornadus can at least click Hurricane versus me, right? Especially when, you know, Rotom was inevitably going to go down. But didn't work out. Because it allowed me to get in Volcarona, allowed me to weaken Garchomp, force that thing to go for Roar as it ended up being, not Dragon Tail. And again, helping out my Volcarona a lot. But yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed my round 1 tournament games. Of course, if you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Hopefully, if not tonight, I'll be streaming. If I'm not tonight, because it depends on how I'm feeling too. Because like I don't know, the weather is just crazy here in New York. One day is freezing, and the other day it's like hot, and then I'm getting like headaches and things like that. Waking up with some headaches. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Pokemon mental game too, so like even this, like that's really why I didn't want to record while I was playing too, because I was like, oh man, I'm gonna mess up a lot. But yeah, hope you guys all enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Good games to Groudon. Goodbye, my friends.